Everyone who has ever had a garden or lived in the country knows cuckoo-spit, those clumps of white froth that cling to grass and plants. But as cuckoo-spit can be found early in March, long before the cuckoo returns from his winter in Africa, it is not really fair to accuse the poor bird of such vulgar habits. The real cause of cuckoo-spit is this queer little insect called a froghopper. Frog because of its peculiar type of beauty, and hopper because it is a champion long jumper. Late in autumn, the female froghopper lays her eggs usually just where a blade of grass branches off from the main stem. Here the eggs will be well protected from frost and cold. But as an extra precaution, the mother surrounds them with a coating of froth, which sets hard and is quite waterproof and snowproof. Here you see a row of eggs neatly embedded in their coating. And here is a closer view. In March, the earliest froghopers hatch out and immediately climb the grass plant in search of a home. Finding an angle between two grass shoots, it settles head downwards and begins to draw sap from the stem. At the beginning, it does not feed on the sap, however, but blows it out again in the form of bubbles through a special bubble blower with which it is equipped on its back. It adds sugar to the sap so that the bubbles set quickly and do not dry up too soon. The insect works by drawing air into the bubble blower and then producing a bubble which glides downwards towards the head. By moving the blower steadily from left to right, the froghopper manages to cover itself evenly with bubbles which soon completely hide it and make an excellent protection against enemies. To pierce the stem and get at the sap, the creature is provided on its head with a fine lancet, compared with which the very fine needle on the right of the screen looks blunt. You can see the lancet on the left like a fine hair sticking up from the insect's head into the air. If we prick the plant, the sap comes out thick and milky, but the froghopper by a chemical process turns the sap into a clear liquid suitable for bubble blowing. The champion frothblower gets on with the job. When the grub stops to rest, the bubble blower is always above the froth and in contact with the air. You can see it, that round dark mark, not quite halfway from the top. Safe in its refuge, the froghopper now feeds happily on the sap of the plant, bestirring itself about once a day to rebuild its castle of bubbles. A froghopper grub that hatches out in early spring finally leaves its home and has a look round at the world outside. Then it takes hold of the stem with all its 6 feet and rests for a day. Now the skin splits down the back and the perfect froghopper comes out so slowly that an ordinary human eye can see no movement. But the camera, which is showing us now in a minute what took an hour to perform, makes it clear that the froghopper slides out of its old skin with no hitch. Once free of the skin, it hangs to it until the small crumpled wings have developed, a process taking about 3 hours. It is really frog-like now, with a huge head and bulging eyes. The old skin remains still clinging to the plant with 6 empty legs unbroken, except for the split in the back and looking like the ghost of an insect. The Froghopper waits a little longer until its wings and coat have become firm and dry, and then sets off into the sunshine to feed again on the sap of plants. Now, however, it rests head upwards, ready to leap away at the first hint of danger, and to make an equivalent leap, a man would have to do a standing jump of 250 to 350 yards. Early froghoppers have to make their homes on grass and small plants, but in late spring, the countryside is covered with plants that are sweet and full of sap. Now comes a later type of froghopper, which is particularly fond of foxgloves. Deep in its bed of foam, it is safe from all enemies. But if it is picked out of its shelter, it turns out to be quite defenseless and at a loss in the strange outside world. It is very juicy looking, and as at this time of year there are so many insects and birds on the lookout for tasty grubs, this type of froghopper does not leave its foam to change into a perfect insect. When it is full grown, it makes a smooth-walled hollow among the bubbles and there changes into its final form. The actual process of changing takes from 20 to 50 minutes. Like its cousin that we saw earlier, it leans back to slip out of its old skin. It too has to wait while its wings expand before it moves away from its old home. By carefully choosing the right moment and cutting open the foam, we can find the insect already inside the hollow, waiting until its skin is hardened before starting out into the world. And if gently stirred, off it will leap, leaving its old skin behind. Only those who have studied the history of these queer little froghoppers would dream that they were the cause of the gardener's worry, Cuckoo-spit.